How's it going, guys? This is Russ with Joe's Gaming and Electronics, here with another highly requested video. Today I'll be showing you guys how to replace the screen on an SM-R830 watch. So let's begin. So we're going to end up taking the whole watch apart before we touch the screen, because all the ribbon that goes to the screen is connected to the back of the watch. You'll see in just a moment. So what I like to do is go ahead with a heat gun, heat up the device just so it loosens up the glue, loosens up the screws, because they're held on by Loctite, and the back housing is held on by silicone. So that's what we're going to do. And then we're going to take this 3-point screwdriver. It's the 2.0 by 25 millimeter screwdriver, and we're going to start unscrewing the screws. You got to press a little bit harder to unscrew the screws to make sure that you don't end up stripping them or anything. So that's why I like to push a little harder. Awesome. So now we're going to use this flat-headed screwdriver to go in through the slit. And then once you got it lifted up, what you do is you take this plastic pry tool and you start working your way around, and it loosens up the silicone and it pops it right out. Awesome. So now we're going to take that pry tool again. We're going to unhook the HR sensor. So we're going to set that part aside. Sometimes the screws come out, so you're going to have to put them back in because they get lost very easy, and each of these screws is very important. Alright, we're going to power off the device, because sometimes when you take apart the back housing you end up pressing the button. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take apart the LCD ribbon, we're going to take apart speaker ribbon, the depth sensor ribbon, the button, power button, the back button ribbon, and we're going to take apart the mic ribbon. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. So now, since we're at this step, we're going to go ahead and pry up the main board. As you can tell, it was connected to the main board through the back. So that is why we have to take apart the whole watch in order to get to that. And whenever you pry out the whole housing, make sure that no ribbon is in the way, because you don't want to damage any of the ribbons, because they're going to be useful. Since we're not going to be replacing the battery or anything, we're going to leave that in place because underneath the board is the battery. So we're going to continue on here. So the only thing you need to watch for is this ribbon, because all the rest of the ribbons are fine. Nothing's going to get in the way. So what we're going to do in order to take apart the screen, so what I like to do before taking apart the screen is I like to mark where the ribbon's going to go. So just take a Sharpie and you're going to do a mark here and a mark there, so you know where to realign the ribbons. Awesome. So we got that there. As I could see, the marks are there, so I know where to place the ribbon, so then I'm not confused on where it goes, so then the display is correct. So now what we're going to do is we're going to heat up the screen. Don't heat it up too much. I mean, if you're planning to replace the screen, doesn't really matter. I'll just heat it up to when it comes out. But if you're actually trying to preserve the screen and replace the housing instead, then I would do that. I would actually be mindful of not making the screen burnt. So let's just take the pry tool now. What I'm gonna do is go through the sides, and it should be fairly simple to just tear apart. So you just be mindful whenever you do go around that you do miss that ribbon, which you don't want to cut it or anything, because then it's not going to work. And also, while you're going around, just be careful not to go super deep inside, because if you want to preserve the screen, like I said previously, then you don't want to do that. And I like to go from the inside and I like to push out. So that's the screen. And then I like to go ahead with my flathead. And I like to take apart the adhesive, because with the screen you get brand new adhesive to use. So just throw away the old adhesive. And so what you're going to do now is apply the new adhesive that you get. And I like to go ahead over it with my flat-headed screwdriver just to make sure it stays down. And once that's done, awesome, it's applied. And then you just pry the, it's a covering for the top adhesive. So next you want to get your replacement glass, which you can always purchase on our website. So what I like to do is stick it on first. Get it aligned, and then I like to go down and push. Sometimes I just fold these back in, and then I just go from the bottom and I just start pushing down. It's a really nice sticky adhesive, so you won't have problems with it coming back up. So now we're gonna go backwards. We're gonna put the board back in, make sure the board and the housing back in, make sure the screen ribbon is out, all the ribbons are out, all the 5 ribbons, so the one ribbon doesn't get caught underneath. That case. And then all the ribbons should plop in really easy without a single issue. If they are too tight, that means the housing isn't in all the way. Same thing with the ribbon. If you see it that it's not wanting to go in straight, then you messed up with marking them. You went a little bit to the right or to the left. You're gonna have to get it perfect to the center. I've done this many times, so that is why I know where the ribbon belongs. So before putting the housing back together, gluing it, all that kind of stuff, make sure the touch of the screen works. Make sure the functioning of the bezel and everything on the outside, it ticks and everything, to make sure it works before putting it together. Awesome, the screen powered on. Touch seems to be working, which is really good. Now I like to test the bezel. It vibrates every couple ticks, which is really good. The buttons work awesome. Everything's plugged in as it should be. So now we're gonna power it off. And in this case, I don't need to use adhesive because there's already a good amount of silicone. I didn't puncture it or anything. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the HR sensor ribbon and I'm gonna hold it with one finger and plug it back in. And sometimes you get screws that come in and go out, so you have to make sure that none of the screws fell inside. So in this case, none did. Just fell out. We're going to take our 3-point screwdriver, screw it back in. Make sure they are tight, nice and tight, to hold the adhesive down. In this case, since there was the adhesive tape, it's really important that you don't have to have anything on here. But to just be safe, just have a clamp on there for a couple hours just to make sure it presses it down. But in that case, that's it for the repair. And that is how you replace the screen on an SM-R830 watch. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.